session of 16th International Conference on Apparel and Home Textiles. This session is in the workshop mode, where we have guest speakers who will be talking about production, merchandising, and sourcing. Chairman for this session is Mr. Animesh Saxena, Managing Director, Neetee Apparel. Neetee Apparel, Gurugram, Haryana, was established in 1992. It is a government-recognized star export house engaged in manufacture and export of garments to leading fashion stores all over the world. Mr. Saxena is a doctorate from Banaras University, Hindi University, and is also a president of Federation of Indian Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. I welcome you, Mr. Animesh Saxena, as a session chairman for this session. To start with, as a first presentation, we have with us an eminent speaker, Mr. Ranjiv Kapur, Chief Operating Officer, Triburg. He will be sharing his experiences on planning, criticality, growing relevance in the new era. Mr. Ranjiv is an architect of developing innovative strategies and synchronized productive teams that deliver measurable performances in deployment with organizational goals. He is a turnaround specialist experienced in building business strategies and aligning tactics for delivering profitability. Mr. Kapur has a rich experience in strengthening system developments and implementation. I welcome you, Mr. Ranjiv Kapur, to this session. It is a privilege to have you with us for the session. I now hand over the session to Mr. Animesh Saxena. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Manpreet, for introducing us, and especially Mr. Kapur, Ranjiv Kapur. Many of us in OGTC are familiar with him, and we have seen his power-packed performances in our earlier physical conferences, where you see probably the best of him when he physically in front of you and talking with that conviction. His presentations are all power-packed, and to all the participants today, I tell you that you will enjoy listening to him, and he always talks in no-nonsense manner and with the real, deliverable solutions and practices. So I'll not take much of the time, and Manpreet has already introduced about his experiences as a thing. He comes with a very, very rich experience from the non-apparel corporate world also, and the top companies in the apparel like Orient Craft, William E. Connor, and Gokul Das. So over to Ranjiv.
Thank you, Animesh ji. That was a wonderful introduction. Thank you for the very warm-hearted recognition. And I'm grateful to OGTC for calling me at times to give some of the insights to the industry. So I'm going to commence with the presentation, why planning is critical and relevant to our industry. It is not that it had not been. Planning has always been essential, but why it is becoming more so, I will take you through some practical day-to-day engagements of what we do in the industry. Under myself currently, I am managing operations for 500 factories we are sourcing from in our Triburg group. Therefore, some of the planning criticality have come from experiences, some failures, and most of it successful when industries, vendors, and factory put an idea to planning. What is planning? Now, let me first explain to you, we are in a business, whether you're a manufacturer of garments, textiles, hard goods, soft goods, our first thing is we are in a business and the business must deliver profitability. No matter what, it is how we are going to make money what organizations are we going to have, and therefore that is a simple, most honest statement. Business is equal to profitability. Therefore, what is profitability? We all understand profit, but what is profitability? It is simply a measurement of efficiencies, which we keep on hearing in our trade on a day-to-day basis. And for the stakeholder, the banks who lend out the money, the owners who are sitting there, it is going to be a return on investment over a period of time. So is profitability a hope or is it a method? Can I open an organization and hope I'm going to make money? Or do I open an organization, I plan to make money? Therefore, planning is a method. It's not a hope. Planning is a method where we have a modus operandi, we have a structure, we have systems in place, and there is a very defined purpose behind it. So planning will lead to profitability, and profitability cannot be seen only in financial terms. I made it easy to understand, but it has various concoctions in our day-to-day working. So what does planning do? Simply, it improves profitability and deliverables. These deliverables will be different from organization to organization. Some of them I've listed on the top is growth. It's service improvement to our customers. It's about product development. It's about sourcing the right raw materials. It's about training our staff. It's about calibrating our QCs. It's about on-time delivery, and the list can go on and on depending as you see it, what are your deliverables. There will be deliverables designed by our customers also. So planning involves people. And this is the key success of it. People are assets. You may have the best ERP system. An ERP system is also designed by people who understand the business. So when you talk about production planning, let's say, for example, raw material sourcing and planning, you may have a market expansion and planning. It always involves people asset, and it must utilize their abilities for full effect to the business goals which may have been defined. So why is planning so critical? We plan to be part of this conference today. You plan to give a time today for this conference. Had you not given it, you wouldn't be present in this conference. So there was a part of planning which you do consciously or subconsciously. But in our industry, what does planning do? It makes it into a better position. It gives us progress. Decision makings become easier. Decision making become flexible. There is a very holistic approach to our business. We can evaluate and control our businesses, what every single owner, where every single manager, where every single supervisor, where every single associate worker of ours is doing. And it helps you to achieve the desired results, which may be defined by our customers, by our bankers, by us, our own selves, and the expectations of our employees. So what does planning finally lead to? This statement, what I have written here, has taken me more than 14 years to write what should we do. So to become the partner of choice to our customers, suppliers, employees, and stakeholders. That is why we are in a business. That is why we are in a service business. And the easier word is, take out the word choice from here. We always hear, oh, you're a vendor partner. Are you actually a vendor partner? When it comes to problems, when it comes to claim settlement, it's all sometimes a one-sided conversation. So then you're a vendor partner, but are you a vendor partner of choice? The word is the word choice. You become a vendor partner of a choice when the client sees you that way. When your employee sees you that you are the best organization to work for, when your supply sees you are the best company to supply for, and when your stakeholders make sure they get the profitability they have planned. So this statement is a very simple statement, but it is to become the partner of choice, because we hear vendor partnership on a day-to-day basis from our customers. What does planning do? It breaks our goals into smaller pieces. It reveals the weaknesses of us. Today, we have got finishing backlog. Today, we have a dying backlog. The material has not come in. We have got a COVID situation where the materials will not come in. There are some unprecedented, unscheduled, where we still need to plan around it. It increases our confidence because you can say, I will deliver the goods on such and such date. I will deliver this shipment on such and such date when the containers are not available. It reduces the risk of cancellation, of making losses, or making defective goods. And it improves decision making, and the list can go on, but I'm only using those words which we do it on a day-to-day basis. But always it highlights our weaknesses. It's because of our weaknesses or a breakdown into our challenges that we cannot give the deliverables on time, what is expected either by our client or us ourselves. So planning requires operational goals, and the goals should not be dreams. Goals should be realistic. It should be short-term and long-term, but in our industry, the long-term of 3 years is over. Your goal should be 2 seasons, 3 seasons, and 4 seasons. Because if you do not survive the 3 and 4 seasons, you do not survive 3 or 4 years. So we really need to come back into practicality, that planning requires operational goals. And in our industry, the pre-production timelines are a critical challenge because they are poorly planned. Pre-production, when you enter a factory, most of the conversation is on productivity, on efficiency building. And factories have spent 10 years on it. But when you go to a production line, why the productivity is not coming, you will find it is related to numerous challenges of the pre-production activities not having been given on time or closed on time, because even if there is a T&A, which is nothing but a time and action plan, if it's a variation of 1 day, 2 days, or 5 days, it is not a serious affair for the pre-production team. But when it comes into production and giving the shipment on time, because eventually it can lead to air freight, the pressure comes on the production team that you don't know how to plan. But nobody realizes that the planning part, which was not done critically, they've kept on missing their dates. Either it was the fabric, either it was the metal, either it was the accessories, either it was the trim, or it may have been talent, workers, absenteeism. There was not a synchronized plan, and therefore we are always struggling at times with numerous challenges, some which can be addressed, and some because we sit down to replan what we had planned before. And once you plan, your communication with the customers has more confidence level because you can meet their unique needs or unique information they want, or short-time deliveries in case they want. Planning also gives you cost efficiencies. We keep on talking about being cost efficient, but when it comes to practicality, efficiencies become a secondary pass. शिपमेंट जानी है तो आज जानी है, 14 घंटे लगा दो, 100 आदमी लगा दो, अब कॉस्ट एफिशिएंसी नहीं देखनी है, अब क्या देखनी है, जो हमारी प्लानिंग में फेलियर हो गई है उसको अब हमने ठीक करना है. So again you go back into a board, what should we do now? Again you go back into planning. So understanding the criticality of planning, I think most of us in the industry understand it. It is the execution of it. The timelines to it, we don't adhere to it. The disciplines we don't adhere to it leads us to unfavorable situations where money, energy, time, and discussions and over discussions, a number of emails goes to a customer. Then you don't become a vendor of choice. You do not become a partner of choice. So therefore, planning leads to using your resources, a better planning for raw materials, capacity planning, or handover to production. Sample has been made. Sample approval has not taken place. There are some comments on the PD sample. But sir, the production planning we have done, but what is the line loading date? Sir, that we don't know yet. That might shift. Why will it shift? Because we have not followed a plan of getting the sample approved on such and such date, which every day we are talking about is a time and action plan for us in the industry. We fail on that. And therefore, if we fail on that, it has repercussions with the quick production on alteration and defect rates, and obviously the on-time delivery can keep on changing. Therefore, whatever planning we need to do, I always ask few questions, which is what? What does the business want us to do? And you can change the word business to a client. You can change it to a logistics team. You can change it to a customer. You can change it to a supplier. What does the business wants operation to do? Which is planning. What does the market position requires our planning to do? What day-to-day experiences suggest we should plan better? And what operation resources can we use better? Therefore, if you see, these are the fundamental 4 points. We use it on a daily, day-to-day operations in the business we are in. Whether we are in textiles, doesn't matter. If I was running a steel factory or an alcohol factory, which I'm coming from those industries as its president and CEO, I had the similar thing. So planning is a generic tool. The quality of designing the planning tool is depending on executions of people and people assets. So when you plan, you need to plan competitive strategies. Why? Because you are planning an operational excellence, because either it is automating and digitalization manufacturing processes, procedures, you might to reduce costs, you might to increase speed to market, but you need to plan operation excellence. I have used few attributes. It does not mean these are the only attributes. These are the ones commonly used in the 500 vendors I deal with on a day-to-day basis. Customer intimacy is very important. You need to customize the product and the quality of service to what they want. Some customers want a very long email detailing out every single step you are taking. There are other customers who say, why are you sending us 10 emails on the same subject matter? Therefore, you have not understood the customer's intimacy requirement. So you have to see what is the unique range of customer services we want to do. And I'm using a very word small email because that's what a day-to-day communication is. You send out an email, the customer is asking you 4 more questions in trying to understand that email. It means that you did not plan your email to give all the information or the problem you have given it to him without offering a solution. Therefore, you build customer intimacy when you plan your communication till the last core, that what does the customer will come back with what more questions. And obviously, better planning gives you a product leadership, it gives you a brand leadership, it gives you a marketing leadership. Now, when you do a plan, every one of us work for organizations or we own organizations, we always have one line I said, where is the profit coming from? Whether it's a new organization, it's a 20-year-old company, companies close down when they don't plan better. They take it for granted that last year's profitability will be next year's profitability also. We are on the season to season basis. And that is why I said, start planning 2 seasons to 2 seasons in advance. 4 seasons is what you should be concentrating on. Designers can concentrate on 6 seasons, but the manufacturing must concentrate on 4 seasons, whether it is a procurement of material. Today, cotton prices, polyester prices are going skyrocketing. But I have vendors who had planned better. They procured cotton. They knew the business will come to them. Even if they did not have orders, they knew other people will come in. They bought stocks of cotton. They've got 6-month cotton because they had the money. They said, we've leveraged it. We will give you a price for 6 months and we will not change our price. And I'm just coming from South India yesterday by 4 of my manufacturers saying we are not increasing any price where the market is increasing prices because they have planned better. IKEA was giving prognosis. For many of you deal with IKEA for so many years is only to plan better. But do we do that? Or we said, oh, when we get the order, we'll go and buy a raw material. If customer A doesn't give it to you, customer B will come. But market situations are like this. Many companies may not have the cash flow to plan better, even if they want to. Of course, there will be limitations, but the idea is to look into these thought processes. So when you do budgeting, you make a plan, you make your sale plan, but at the end of the day, you make a net profit. Now, I'm showing you a dashboard of our industry. Please take this down very carefully. 3 years ago, I gave a dashboard. And I remember a few people meeting me over the last 3 years and coming and asking me many times. I had more than 54 interactions on the dashboard I've given. And few vendors have been able to save money. I mean, I will name an organization, Modelama, for example. Over the last 5 years on the dashboard and waste management we gave them, they have saved over 17 crores of rupees. That was going to be wasted. But the fact is, speak to them. They will tell you. And they went deeper on how to plan, manage waste control. I said, don't call it waste control. Call it profit improvement process. The whole mindset changes. Therefore, when you're planning in our segment, remember we are talking about market and customer growth. We are talking about planning to retain them. We are planning what should be our gross margins. At the end of the day, we want to know what is the profitability. That is why the costing is done so minutely. Let's not shy away from this. With no profitability, none of us will exist. The next is on product development. How do you plan product development? Do you fix it to a customer, to a market? Do you do price positioning? Is your costing right the first time? Or you say, no, I will cost and give him $5. Let him come back and ask me for $4.60. But if he's doing cross bidding, you've lost, because your reputation will be, ये जब भी cost भेजता है, इसका 10%, 15% कम करना ही पड़ता है. So price positioning becomes a critical factor today. We have so many customers we are dealing with. They say, Ranjiv, we want the vendor who can cost his product right the first time, because if he doesn't cost it, we don't want to go back to them. I'm giving you the insight. We face it on a day-to-day basis. Testing parameters at the time of product development are not even taken into consideration. And for those of you who are taking into consideration, you are doing an excellent job. Your teams are doing an excellent job. Product bana diya, aur uske baad mein we realize it is not meeting the testing parameters. I have made terry towels. Terry towels look excellent. The absorbency should be 50%. Sir, but my product is 35%. So you failed in your product development. What are the planning to samples turnaround? You want to win the business today? Can you turn the sample out in 4 days? Do you have a sampling plan? Do you have a sampling team? Have you catered to your season? Have you expanded the capacity of the sampling? These are all pre-production failures, which takes away the time and action of the production, and therefore you are struggling at a later stage. The designers need to become efficient by looking into their strike rates wherever applicable, because some businesses are tech-driven, some businesses are mood board driven by the customers, but they do expect product development from some of the manufacturers, and more you give them the product, even if they're fine-tuning it, they get some additional ideas which they're looking for, so they become a partner of choice. That word choice is very important. And so on. If you see this key planning departments, what we have, these are the ones where you really need to take and go back to your drawing board and see it in one page holistically across the team, that are we planning here better or are we not planning here better? So I am not going to cover each and every attribute of this. I have spoken on few subject matter balances. When OGTC circulates this presentation, you can take the dashboard from here, but look into the key planning. Planning must have matrix. I need 1 new customer per month. I need a minimum delivery of 95% on time. I need 90% minimum satisfaction, if not 100. I need a PAT, profit after tax, of 10%. Or you can do EBITDA, whatever you would like to do. I want a customer intention rate. It's a want. But do you plan 100% attention rate? I want 0 quality alert. But because we have not planned, there's a backlog in embroidery, there's a backlog in washing, you are pushing everything in the night. So you think that your quality and defect rate would be the same as you were making it under normal time? Would your sewing quality will be the same, or people who are working in the night or working extended hours? They're human beings. So planning, when you're planning, you design your system. There are some of these slides. I am not going to go section by section. The idea was to share with the industries information which you can use later on. And if anybody wants to understand, can call me at any given point of time. And therefore, is product services design? What is your capacity planning for products? What is a selection and facility layout? Is your facility moving? Is the handling of the goods you're making a viscose fabric, a terry towel could be a silk product, could be a white product? Are you planning your layout? How does your work system work? Design of your work system is nothing but your ERP system, whatever you would like to do. How is your TNA planning and monitoring? Planning TNA ban gaya. Who is planning and monitoring it on a daily or a weekly basis, and what is the corrective action to be taken? Because if you don't take it in pre-production planning, you are taking away production time. And obviously after every PO is gone, you take a profitability. So when you do a design and product development, you must look into concept generation. What is concept screening? What is evaluation and improvement you want? Number of days it takes. Is it aligned to the TNA, what the customer is looking for? What is the target date of submitting the product development? What is the target date of getting a sample approval? What is the target date of starting your season capacities you want to book? It's all part of planning. I've given you modules which you can see. This is the most important subject on quality management. Quality management, everybody asked me a definition of what is quality. And there are 360 definitions. When I train our QAs in Triburg, I use a very simple definition to the vendors also. We will deliver as per approved sample, full stop. That's my quality. That's our QAs understand. That's our supervisors understand. I don't want an IMA, MBA definition which I can give you, I come from the corporate world. Simple, eh? Does it meet the approved standard or not? Make it as per the approved standard. That is your quality. The buyer will be happy of. I have listed out what all you should be doing in this chart, so you can take it and read it later on. When you're planning to design your work system, which is your ERP system, I have put in certain attributes You can look into these attributes and say, okay, what should we do initially? What processes we should put in? What technology are we talking about? Who are the people who are going to be managing it? What are the infrastructure? What are the reports we are looking at? You will find a lot of detail over here, which you can, in this 45-minute session, please understand planning for an industry is a very tedious thing. So I decided to make it in such a way that you can take it away, read it yourselves and execute it. But I've given you all the stages of planning. This is your planning on supply chain management. We deal with supply chain on a day-to-day basis. These are the attributes you need to follow for supply chain management. And I made a simpler chart. What is a demand planning? How do you do a procurement? How do you do your warehousing? How do you, when I say warehousing, can you find the goods? Are you buying excess material? उसने +- 10% material भेज दिया है. आपने 1000 meters चाहिए था, उसने 115 meter भेज दिया. ये 15 meter का पैसा कौन देगा? So that is all part of your planning. And warehousing, is it meeting your plan? You plan to give an order for an X quantity, but you're receiving more than your quantity or less than your quantity. Either way, you're in trouble. How are you balancing it with your supply chain management, which was my earlier slide? When you get into supply chain management, you need to have a goal. What is your goal about it? Our purchase managers need a little more education and help on what is the goal for them, right? How do they buy? How do they transport? Is the 10 paisa price difference difficult to get it? The transportation cost may be more, or his delivery times are not very dependable. So the 10 paisa, 15 paisa price advantage is not going to be happy because the order may not get delivered on time by him. And therefore I will have a problem by overtime, which is very expensive. By saving 15 paisa, you may be spending a rupee on your production time. So look into these chain management goals very carefully. And I've broken down to explain what are the advantages of supply chain management. Better customer relationship, minimum delays, improving on productivity, minimizing warehouse and transportation costs, minimizing direct and indirect costs, assist in achieving shipping of the products right on time, container planning, container booking. So there are many areas which you can see. I've only used what we use on a day-to-day basis on a practical terminology. Planning of quality management, I have left. It's a very interesting topic. Every time I'm asked for it, I've laid out the format, what you can see, and you can ask questions at any given point of time. Please use this planning of quality management system for improving on a day-to-day basis. And you can change what I've written. You can use this chart and change it. It's easier. The format is made. Put your needs over there. 90% is covered over here. Quality control, how can you analyze? What will you evaluate? What will you improve? And what will you replan in case it is not happening? I've written over there, the slide is editable, so you can edit it anytime the way you would like to do it. You must plan your quality control. 50% number of defects per lot I'm getting. What should I do? I'm getting 30% of corrective actions up to date, but my planning did not take this into place. My planning of supervision did not take place. My planning of checking the cut panel did not take place. And therefore, I'm getting a 30% of corrective actions I've got to take. My 85% is my cost of quality gone up. Or 15% is the deficit. I'm losing money because I'm using overtime, alteration, reworking, recutting, reconsumption. Then you have your inventory management and scheduling, which you will see again is your bills of material, how you handle. I've laid down the attributes which you can use later on. And in your inventory management system, please note, you make a loss when you are not using debit notes, or you're not returning your excess fabrics, or you're not asking for bad fabrics to be replaced by your mill because you already bought 3-color fabrics. Both fabric has come in short. You got one fabric in one color lying excess in the store. वो तो waste होने वाला ही है. उसको आपको पकड़ना है. You need to plan it. How do you go back? Because this is the reality. Mills will make a mistake. There will be variations. How are you planning to make sure that there's no production backlog because of a poor planning at the beginning, at the warehouse? अभी तो कटिंग ही नहीं हुआ, ये तो warehouse में ही problem आ गई है. Inventory delivery on time. I made a dashboard for inventory delivery. How should you see a dashboard for planning? I've talked about lean manufacturing. How do you plan lean manufacturing, technology, quality, cycles, people, systems, and continuous improvement? इसके नीचे में, हर एक के नीचे में मैंने attributes डाले हुए हैं. You can read it, you can change it, but this is what should be added on to the industry today. And I have completed 3 minutes before my time. Chairman, you can take over now, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kapur. And it was as expected from you. It was definitely a very, very powerful, impacted presentation. And within that time frame, when you try to cover, and planning, as you know, is the most critical part of the organization. And the bare fact is that most of us do a poor planning. And that's the reason, probably the reputation of India for not meeting the quality as well as the delivery commitment is quite prevalent. Because of that, is a purely result of the poor planning and definitely the unreliable supply chain. So the planning becomes even more important when your supply chain is not there. So thank you so much for your presentation again. And I'll ask Manpreet now. We have the next speaker to introduce the next speaker, and then we listen to that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Animesh. And thank you, Mr. Kapur, for such an exhaustive presentation touching upon various critical points which need to be considered while planning various strategies. So thank you so much. We will have to join the next session for another presentation. So I request all the participants to kindly log off from here and join the next session for the presentation by Mr. Umesh Gaur on growing relevance of technology in improving business in post-COVID scenario. Thank you.